every under-the-table payment, every tax dodge, every fake name. And Ray, the fired mechanic, hadn't just talked to the feds he'd stolen it. A masked man kicked in Carlos's door one night. "Where's the rest of Eddie's money?" Carlos froze. "What money?" The man tossed a burned ledger page on the floor, his name circled in red. "Eddie says you stole from him. We want it back." Eddie had lied. Told his underworld connections, Carlos skimmed cash before fleeing. Now Honduran gangsters, the same ones Eddie laundered money for, thought Carlos had their cut. With no way to prove otherwise, Carlos did the only thing he could. He called the one person who hated Eddie more than him, Ray. Ray, now working at a rival garage, smirked over the phone. "You're screwed, man." But Eddie's got a storage unit. Cops never found it. Proof he set you up. Breaking in was easy. The files inside, not just tax fraud, human trafficking. Eddie wasn't just hiding cash. He'd been smuggling workers, doctoring their papers, and pocketing their wages. Carlos held a photo of a missing man last seen at Eddie's shop. The gangsters found him first. A midnight beating left him with 2 broken ribs and a warning. "Next time, we take fingers." The U.S. Embassy wouldn't help a deported felon. The Honduran police were on Eddie's payroll. Carlos had one play left. He emailed the ledger, the photos, and Eddie's fake IDs to the Department of Homeland Security. Then he sent copies to Eddie's gangster partners with a note, "He's been skimming from you for years." 3 weeks later, Eddie vanished after a car accident in Newark. Ray got a whistleblower payout and a new identity. Carlos woke to an IRS agent at his door. "You're eligible for a U visa if you testify." But as the agent walked away, Carlos noticed a tattoo peeking from his sleeve, the same symbol the gangsters wore. The game wasn't over. The IRS agent's tattoo meant one thing: Carlos had just traded one enemy for another. But this time, he wasn't running. This time, he'd make them pay. Carlos knew that symbol, La Mara Salvatrucha, the gang Eddie had been laundering for, and now they had a man inside Homeland Security. The U visa was a trap. Testify, and he'd be dead before he reached the courtroom. But Carlos had copied the ledger, and he'd learned a few things from Eddie. He reached out to Detective Vasquez, the only cop who hadn't dismissed him during the investigation. She met him in a Tegucigalpa cafe, her face tense. "You're not safe here," she said. "But if you want to burn them, I know people who can help." She slid a burner phone across the table. On it, a contact named El Fiscal, the prosecutor. El Fiscal wasn't just a lawyer. He was a former cartel accountant who'd turned on his bosses and lived. Now he hunted dirty money for the U.S. Treasury. Eddie's gang moves cash through shell companies, El Fiscal explained. But they made one mistake: they used the same bank in Panama. And you have the account numbers. Carlos smiled for the first time in months. They set a trap. Carlos leaked a fake story through Ray that he had a second ledger, one with offshore account details. Then he waited. The gangsters took the bait. They sent a cleanup crew to Honduras. But Carlos wasn't there. Instead, federal agents were. The sting went bad. The gang